Okay, so I probably shouldn't tell you what I'm about to tell you, but I had a minor medical procedure today, and uh, that meant sedation, and I'm still drowsy. Maybe my judgment's a little off. It's fine. I was looking at the YouTube inspiration tab, and if you're not a YouTube creator, then you might not know that there's this AI feature I just found out about that gives you suggestions for videos to make that people will like based upon the kinds of videos that you already make, already have, videos that have been popular, blah, blah, blah. And one of the suggestions on my inspiration tab was making a video about the making of Her Garden. Her Garden is a weird ass experimental film that I directed. You can watch it on my channel. There is the remastered version, and then there's the original version. I won't bother getting into the differences. Whatever. This is my video. I can do what I want. The remastered one is just less experimental, just clearer picture, and the original one is like really fuzzed up. So, the making of Her Garden. That video at the time of this recording, December 28th, 2024, which is not when you're going to be watching it because that's not how scheduling works. That's not how you feed the algorithm. Just posting when you make. I've learned that lesson the hard way. So, at the time of this recording, the remastered version has like 17,000 views, and even the original version has a couple of thousand. So it's been popular, especially for the genre. And I think that has to be why YouTube Inspiration suggested I do this making of. Well, I didn't want to do a making of video this day, sedation day. I just wanted to tell you the backstory, because the backstory is the hot stuff, the goss, the tea. The backstory to Her Garden might be more fascinating than the story itself. The story in the plot. That's the word. The plot in the short film. Short film. It's a feature film. Whoa. I know it's sedated, but come on, brain. Yeah, feature film. Her Garden, feature film. You can watch on this channel. But the backstory of how it was made, yeah, because BTS behind the scenes for that doesn't really make sense. If you watch it, you'll get it. It's like way too experimental. We didn't have a crew. It was just my friend Jake and me, just out in the world. And then once my boyfriend Aaron joined us and got 50 mosquito bites in one day. Okay, so how did this film come to be? Her Garden. When I was in college at VCU in Richmond, Virginia, I knew a weird ass man. Let's call him Jim. Jim was like 20 years older than me. I met him on Craigslist. I swear nothing creepy happened. He was totally respectful. He just wanted to shoot with young women on his camcorder, doing this Alice in Wonderland tribute thing. He was very into experimental film. He had this idea, and apparently a film he'd been working on for a while when I met him. And you know, he'd come pick me up from campus, and then we'd go to some park or garden or weird architectural feature around Richmond. He'd shoot me, usually walking. Honestly, there was a lot of just wandering, whatever environment he chose. And it was a silent film, so no dialogue, right? I didn't have to say anything. I would just wander through some flowers or walk by a koi pond, whatever he wanted. And then he'd give me $20, and it was just an easy way for a college kid to make money. But also, I was interested in what he was doing. I was a filmmaker. I was in film school. I was making my own stuff, but trying to meet people and trying to collaborate and just figure out life as a young artist. So I go about working with Tim like this for more than 2 years. Okay? And I never meet the other women. I just know that they exist because there's footage of them. But we're all supposed to be playing this, like, different facets of the same Alice in Wonderland character. So that's the excuse for us never being in a scene together. And there's continuity with costume and little details like green fingernail polish. Alright. Finally, I'm about to graduate. I'm about to move on. I need to finish this project, or at least finish my involvement with it, because I'm not going to live in Richmond anymore. Haha, so I think. And there's this little public screening, this tiny, I can't even call it a film festival, just like a film event at a bar, and it's like a local happening that people know, like local filmmakers know about. It's not really, it's open to the general public, but it wasn't something that usually randos came to. It was, you're part of this community, you know what it is, you show up. It was like a step up from a meeting because it was open to the public. So Jim screened what he had edited of our 2.5, 2.5 years worth of work at that point. He still hadn't finished the film. This was not a high production value kind of thing. This was not complicated. It wasn't a documentary where he had to chase down a bunch of people and do interviews and all this research. No, it was just him with a camcorder shooting one woman at a time. Like, dude, here's the thing. He was a pizza delivery guy. He lived in a basement. When I first met him, he didn't have a wife. To this day, I don't think he has kids. He didn't have anything else going on, is what it looks like. From the outside, at least, I didn't know him that well. He would deliver pizzas, and he'd work on this film, and he would smoke so much pot. And he just had this very isolated existence. I was shocked when he said he was getting married. In fact, he might have told me that he had gotten married. Because I didn't think, like, where's this man going? Are you meeting women while you deliver pizza? I didn't ask that, but that's like my only theory. Anyway, so he's at this event, he screens the film, this unfinished film that really should be finished by now. It's not like you have this high pressure job, dude, or you're doing this really complicated project. No, this is all you've got going, and you spent all your time on it, so it should be done. I gotta say, I'm annoyed, more so disappointed, because here was somebody older, quite a bit older than me, and he had finished a film before. It had screened, it had been in festivals, it had won awards, he had gotten a certain amount of recognition for it. So he was capable of doing it, right? I wouldn't have agreed to this, even as a college kid who needed money. I wouldn't have agreed to this if I didn't think he was at least capable of pulling it off. So he screened it. It was interesting, but it was definitely not done. Then he gives me a VHS. All right? A VHS. And he tells me to do what I want with it because he doesn't know if or when he's ever going to finish the film. Okay, that's an email. Go away, email. So I take it, and it's just my copy. You know, do what you want with it. Okay, I'm still going to check in on you every once in a while and ask about this film. Over the years, this man got rid of his Vimeo, his YouTube, emails I sent to him bounced back. I Googled something that at some point indicated he might be in prison. I gave up on him. And during quarantine, I digitized that VHS because I still had it. And this guy had just disappeared and clearly had no intention of ever finishing this project. Had given me that VHS saying that I could do what I wanted with it. So, you know, an artist is an artist. I want to make things. I digitized the tape. I explained the situation to my friend Megan J. Meehan. And again, this is silent. There's no narration in this film. I don't think there was even music. Regardless, I gave her the digitized version, the file, and I said, you know, write some narration for this, and I'm going to record voiceover. I don't want you to know the original story. That doesn't even matter. We're coming up with a new story, and we are going to credit this guy. It's going to become like this crowd, like found footage project, you know, like they do in the art world all the time. This isn't Hollywood. This is art. This is like video art is how I'm seeing this project. It's not cinema. There's no commercial hope for it. So Megan writes the narration, and I'm in no hurry to record it, but I do eventually record it, and I send it to my friend Jacob Barron. He edits it, does sound design, really creepy sound design, because Megan's come up with this incredible story about mermaids and mental illness, and this young woman who just lives in this city and is full of so much desperation for her life, and she falls in love, blah 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 blah. Very drawn to the story, and I'm always happy to work with Jake and to see what he comes up with. So Jake does the edit. So fast forward a couple of years. I guess at that point it's fall 2022, winter 2022, and I decide that I'm going to do a Kickstarter and raise money for the release of the film to do distribution. I want you to know that Jim's name is all over this thing. He's credited in the beginning of the film, that these are his visuals. He's credited at the end of the film where everyone else is credited for their contributions. He's credited in the Kickstarter. I launched a Kickstarter. I had done a Kickstarter for my film Sirena's Gallery, which was an art house film that was a little less weird, but still weird compared to Her Garden. And that had been a successful project. It had distribution. It from Summerhill. It got onto Amazon and Tubi and Hoopla. I have it on this YouTube channel. It was in the Brooklyn Rail, all this stuff. And it helped that I had that Kickstarter to make all that stuff possible, because the distribution journey costs money. Once I have launched the Kickstarter, and mind you, the movie is all done at this point, Jim, who I have not heard from in a decade, reaches out to me from the email address that had bounced back last I checked, and goes ballistic, saying that I have there's back and forth that happens over email, but through the course of this conversation, in his all caps angry messages, says that I've stolen his life's work, that I'll ruin him by doing this. And I've pointed out that it's an art project. There's no money to be made. My other movie, even with the distribution, made no money, but I'm happy to share whatever comes of it. He's credited throughout, right? He can be part of this project. This is a way to breathe life into that footage of his. And he wants nothing to do with it. And he reports my YouTube, and that's why I had to start my new YouTube channel. The old one is still up, but it has a strike against it, and that just does BS with the algorithm. I tell him that I don't want to take down the project, that I did put in all of this work, that we have this new story, we have sound design, this narration, all this stuff that Jake, Megan, and I put together, and that this is our project. He says, yeah, those other elements are your project. The visuals are not yours, and I don't want you using them. I don't care about credit versus not credit, money, no money. I don't want my visuals to be a part of this at all. So it's removed from YouTube and Vimeo and Kickstarter. There's kind of nothing I can do at that point because he has just reported over and over again. And I try explaining to YouTube and Vimeo and Kickstarter, and as this process of I guess remediation with these different websites is happening, he goes and he gets a lawyer and does the whole cease and desist thing. I don't know where pizza delivery guy who I knew, the man I knew who would smoke pot all the time, I don't know where he got that money or that favor pulled. I can only guess his wife, who actually has a real job as a librarian, paid for it or called in a favor, right? Because again, he just was like this very isolated basement dweller when I met him. And once that comes, once there's a cease and desist, I know there's no point in fighting this. There's no money to be made. He doesn't want his visuals, fine. So Jake and I set out to shoot all new visuals. We preserve the same narration. We have the same sound design that we had in that gym version. And yeah, we make a whole new movie. And Jim didn't complain again after that because his visuals weren't a part of it. His name wasn't on anything. And now this little film, has thousands and thousands of views on YouTube. Okay? It's something that I just recently submitted for distribution so that it can maybe get onto some other streaming platforms. It had a screening at an art center in upstate New York back in October. Look, I'm not saying that Her Garden is my masterpiece. I don't think it's going to be the project that gets me known, right? At least not widely anywhere. But I am proud of it. It is something that I'm glad that I made. And I'm sorry that Jim couldn't be a part of it. But for me to quote unquote threaten his life's work, that's ridiculous. He's not making anything. That man is never ever going to finish that film. He's not going to finish anything. He's just bitter. He's just bitter. And something I've come to realize as an artist um, is that so many people don't finish what they start. I don't think every project needs to be finished. Every project should be fully realized and released to the world, but I do think it's important in general to finish what you start. And that's something I can't say for myself, that I make projects that are out in the world and that have an audience. And I learned from watching Jim at a young age that I was going to honor my promises. I was not going to be like him. And it's a little sad that at such a young age I had to learn from someone else's example of the bitter artist. The artist who just feels like they'll never be understood, that it's too late in life. I don't think that success has an age limit. And if Jim wanted to finish his film, he could. And it wouldn't matter that he's now, oh my God, 60? Yeah, 60 years old. Is that right? 55? Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I do think that that's a decision you really have to make. It's a habit that you have to set. And if you're not going to follow through, then you're just not going to follow through. So, yeah, maybe this is the drowsiness of sedation and my little medical scare today, which turned out to be fine. Don't worry about it. Inspiring this, not just YouTube telling me I should make a video about the behind the scenes of her garden. I thought you might be interested in the backstory. It might help you understand better what you're watching and how it was made. I'm gonna go rest now. Bye.